Improv can make you smarter, funnier, and more confident. Now, I know you're probably sitting there and going back going, wait a minute, what? And before you click off of this video, let me just explain how it can do all of those things for you. So I've had improv classes that I've taken for a long time. I've done it for my BFA training program, my MFA training program, and outside of my schooling situation, I also did improv classes. So I've done improv for quite some time, and it is able to achieve all of these things. So first, let's start off with smart. How does it make you smarter? Well, improv makes you smarter because of a few different things. It works on a cognitive level. You have to think quicker. You have to think on the spot when you are doing improv. So have you ever been in moments of your life where you had a conversation and then all of a sudden you go back home and then you're thinking to yourself, man, it would have been great if I said this, I would have said that, I would have said this, blah, blah, blah. There's all these things you would have said, but you never said it in that moment because it never came to your mind because you're not used to just thinking on the spot and coming up with something. Or maybe you've been on a date before and then you've had those silent, awkward moments and then nobody's saying anything because it's awkward and it's silent. Well, in those moments and times, you probably wished, hey, I wish I had something that I could have said. Well, with improv, you are constantly having to think on your feet and you are constantly having to problem solve. And sometimes you're problem solving in the most random of situations. You may be in a situation where you're on Mars and lava's everywhere and you got to figure out how to get from point A to B. Yes, it's crazy. Yes, it's weird, especially if you're an adult. You're going, oh my God, I feel like I'm a kid again. But that's the whole point. With improv, you're not doing improv within your everyday life pretending, hey, you're on Mars when you're in a business setting. What you're doing is you're playing within the classroom. You're letting your sense of play come out and you're problem solving and you're figuring things out. And because you're having to problem solve in these very extreme cases that are non-existent, it really is actually requiring your brain to constantly keep working and also just thinking on the spot, being in the moment. Sometimes when you're on stage, if everybody goes quiet, well, then it gets really awkward and somebody needs to say something. So you get used to filling in those gaps, filling in the air. And we need to do that in our everyday life so we can sometimes avoid some of those awkward moments. Sometimes it's just about figuring out what to say and knowing what to say. And that's one of the great things about being in an improv class is you are constantly practicing that. In your everyday life, you don't really get that opportunity to go and practice within that way. But in a class, it is forcing you to practice in that way. And the more you practice anything, then what happens? You always usually will tend to get better at that thing. So now let's go on to the next point. How does improv go and make you funnier? Well, this one, maybe it seems somewhat obvious to you, but actually it's not quite that obvious. You're not given lines to make something funny because when you're in a traditional regular acting class, they're going to give you a scene. They're going to say, hey, this is your scene. These are your lines. This is the funny line here. So you know when the joke's coming up and you know exactly what the joke is. Well, when you're doing improv, you have to come up with the lines yourself. You have to go and make it funny. And that's what's fun about improv because you will fail, especially a lot in the beginning. And you're going to be sitting there like, oh, I hope they don't pick me. Oh, I don't want to go up at all. But the whole point is to fail and to keep failing because there will come a point where you stop failing. And all of a sudden, you do a little better. Oh, people laugh. Oh, people like that. And then people laugh again. Oh, wow, people like that. And then you learn what funny is because there is a lot to being funny than just, hey, having a good one-liner here. It's about timing. It's knowing when to speak and when not to speak. Sometimes it's funny just to give a look. There are different elements to comedy, different elements to funny. And again, this is not something that you can just practice in your everyday life. You can't go and just try to practice being funny around your friends because you don't want to try something that all of a sudden seems really weird and then people give you a weird look. But in an improv class, you are free to try and play. And guess what? Yes, you might not be great in the beginning, but you do get better as time goes on because again, you're practicing. If you want to get good at piano, what do? You practice it. You want to get good at martial arts? You practice it. You want to get good at being funny? You practice it. And that's one of the beautiful things about an improv class is it gives you that freedom. It gives you that opportunity to go and actually practice being funny. It gives you that freedom. So now our third point is how does improv make you more confident? Well, it makes you more confident with two specific things. The first one is you will fail and you're going to get used to failing in front of people. Typically in life, we do not like to fail. We are very uncomfortable with failure. In an improv class, you get used to failure, you get comfortable with failure because it's bound to happen, it will happen, and then you begin to accept it. And then the second thing that ends up helping you is you will also, as you fail, have successes. And you have moments where people laugh and they go, whoa, wow, people thought that was funny. And then they laugh again and again. So you're getting used to, you're building a thicker skin for what's not funny and failing. But then you're also learning, because you're practicing your comedy skills, you're learning what is funny, what to keep doing over and over. And then you're around a bunch of people who are also learning. And then you found out, oh, wow, Jim did that thing. Oh, that was really funny. Wow. Oh, I could do the same thing next time. Oh, wow. Becca, she did this thing. That was really funny. Oh, I'm going to do that next time. You're learning from your own peers. And now the best way that I can even give an example for this, of even more for how it builds confidence, is they did this study before with exposure therapy, and they had these horses, and the horse owners would go by the highways, and these horses would freak out when a car would zip by, that the horses would go and stand on 2 feet, throw the owner off, and a lot of the times these owners would get hurt. So then the owners had to figure out what could they do to try and avoid getting hurt when cars would drive by. So what they ended up doing is they took all their horses and they tied them to trees right by the highway. Now what happened when a car zipped by? Well, the horse did what? Of course, it freaked out. It said, oh, I don't want to get hit by any of these cars. And then the owners left these horses and they came back 24 hours later. Well, what happens when they came back? When they came back, all the horses were calm. A car zipped by, they were okay. Nothing happened at all. Well, you're that same way. The first hour, the horse is freaking out. The first improv class that you go to, you'll probably be freaking out a little bit. But as time goes on, as the classes go on, it gets easier and easier and easier. And that's how you start building your confidence. It's the consistency of your practice, the consistency of your work, and the consistency of seeing improvement for yourself. So that's how confidence is built. And that's how improv can go and make you smarter. It can go and make you funnier, and it can go and make you more confident. So I hope you all like this video. Make sure you all subscribe to the channel so you stay up to date with everything. Give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to join our 10-hour acting masterclass, that's always going to be down in the description down below and also in the comment section. And then if you like this video, then you're going to love this video right over here. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.